All right, my beautiful mamas, welcome back. As I said in the bio, we're with some powerhouses in the room. I'm so excited. I just told them I woke up this morning kind of giddy, really, just thrilled that this is the conversation we get to have today. We're going to dive into all the things I said in the bio. But before I do that, I want to just give the mic to Shannon and Lisa and rewind the tape for a second. And really just, I want to hear from both of you, what pulled you each into this work? Like, what was your enough is enough moment leading to the Green Door Life? And Shannon, if you want to go first, and then we can let Lisa.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's try to keep this as succinct as possible because the enough and enough is enough comes in phases. My enough is enough came from the phase of injury first. So I had severe concussion, went through Pilates for a rehabilitation. That was like over 20 years ago. And I had limited movement in my cervical spine. That moved me into Pilates, strength training. Like that was my movement journey. The enough of nutrition came on the back of me thinking I was going to compete for a bodybuilding competition, being put on a ketogenic diet, and then realizing that that was like the worst thing for me. And then finding a female coach who actually could tell me what would be better. And then finding a doctor who told me everything that was happening inside of my body with the metabolic damage of ketogenic diets, which led me into a full life cycle of study, testing it out on myself, testing it out on my personal training clients. And then inside of that, meeting Lisa, and then Lisa becoming a client of mine, and then us creating a business together. But all that to say is like the enough is enough for myself. And I know this for Lisa because we are always in a cycle together. It comes in layers. Like for me, it was physical, and then it was nutritional, and then it was spiritual, and then it was emotional, and it keeps going.
So, keeps going. I love that.
Yeah, that's my answer.
I mean, I know I'm appreciate the honesty because it is a journey, right? And it's never ending. And I think the more we remind people that it's a consistent choice you're making every single day, that it's even with y'all, the experts who are leading thousands of women, you're still growing, you're still evolving. And so I appreciate that message coming through because it's important for us to remember. Lisa.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to really try hard here to keep this short. My initial enough is enough where I had the absolute honor and, life-changing experience of meeting Shannon was I was drowning in motherhood with my second child. And I saw this photo of myself. I'll never, I have this photo saved on my phone because I never want to forget that feeling. So I always draw on that feeling when I'm thinking about who we're serving in the hardest moments of our business, because business is a journey in and of itself. I always draw on that picture, that moment. I can put myself back there. And this is now about seven years ago, Shannon. I don't even know now. Drowning, just drowning. And I saw this photo of a mother who was not doing anything for herself really in terms of like the longer term, bigger picture. Absolutely surviving in the moment, not sleeping. The second child who didn't sleep for 2 years straight, like legit did not sleep at all for more than 30 minutes at a time, had all kinds of eczema, feeding issues, acid reflux, all these things like almost destroyed our marriage. Like we were hanging by a thread. And I was still in those moments pushing myself, showing up every day, working out, trying to eat healthy, whatever the heck that meant. I had no idea what I was doing with nutrition and, still showing up as best as I could. And it almost felt like the more effort I put in, the worse the results got. And then I ended up finding myself at the bottom of a bottle of wine every night, just trying to cope. And so I hit this wall in this moment of, okay, what I'm doing is not working and I'm miserable. I need to do something. I need to fix this. And so my thought was my problem was my weight. That's what I thought. I saw this picture. I hated it. I was like, how can I look like this? I'm putting in so much effort. I'm working so hard to feel and look a certain way. And it was like just destroying me. And so my one of my best guy friends is Shannon's fiance. He calls me up one day and he's just like, hey, do you have any interest in being a nutrition coach? And I was like, what? I was working in corporate at the time while drowning in motherhood. And I was just like, this is a sign. This is an absolute sign. I was like, I don't know anything about what that means, but I want to know, and sign me up. And so as soon as I met Shannon, I think the biggest thing that I would love for moms who feel like they're in that moment and they're drowning, you cannot replace or explain the value of having someone hold space for you as a mother. Mm-hmm. And for Shannon to hold me was so different than like a therapist, because here was this woman who was, about the same age as me, who was showing me what I was missing, this piece of identity I had just completely lost.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was anymore. And she reminded me of this spark of like, there's more to you than a mom. There's more to you than your career. What about the you underneath? Where has she, what is she? So that was kind of my initial why. And I'm just so great. That's why Shannon and I both, we jump out of bed every day. We're like, we love what we do. It is such an honor to pull people through that enough is enough moment.
Yeah. And I appreciate both of you because it was pain, right? And different types of pain. And I think the more we talk about it and we admit that we're not feeling good, I think so often women especially have so much shame when they're not enjoying their life and all the riches that they've been given, especially, you think, gosh, I'm so lucky. I'm able to wake up every day and put food on the table. And, I have people in my life who care about me, and I'm choosing to be a mom. And so there's all this stuff that goes through our heads. So we think, wait, if I'm not happy, if I'm craving more, if I wish I was 10 pounds thinner or had a different job, I'm the problem, and so there's this shame that comes in around the pain, and I did this for a decade, push the pain down until our body starts to scream at us, or we get that kind of, flash in the, face, a slap across the face. So I just appreciate both of you because both was really coming from pain. I think pain is a beautiful teacher. If we allow it to be, it can be such a beautiful, what do they say? Discomfort is a catalyst for transformation.
Yeah. Like we have to have pain in order to have growth.
Yeah.
If you think about a tree, like if you trim a tree, it starts to create new growth. Like it's so like our culture is actually backwards. Like we've been talking about the inflammation cycle. Like inflammation is natural. We have to inflame in order to rebuild. Mm-hmm. But what the problem with women is that they are in chronic inflammation because they never rest.
Yeah.
So that high wired and tired experience that they're experiencing, if you are doing that all the time, you can never close an inflammatory cycle. You can never actually repair muscle tissue. You can never actually regenerate your skin cells with all of the lovely collagen you're putting into your diet. Like if you don't understand, and we don't teach this in mainstream, but actual, like let's just say pain could be also said, actual inflammation is good if we have the appropriate rest and recovery that is on the other side so that we can grow from it.
So if we're talking about some moms who are listening and they're feeling this, right? They're feeling tired all the time, this bloated, foggy, anxious, gaining weight, even though they're doing everything right. Mm-hmm. Where do you even begin when someone's body is screaming and they don't have this information, or they're not ready to accept you need to rest and let your kind of going against what they're seeing on social media all the time, right? Like, how do you kind of put your hands on that mom's shoulders and say, hold on, like, where does she start? I know that's kind of a big question.
No, I'll say something and then I would definitely want to give it to Lise because I feel like this is really where she can speak from her own personal rewiring as a mom. But just in general, we actually can only meet someone where they're at now. And it doesn't mean that we're going to take them from, oh, you're wired and tired and like you can't calm down your nervous system. We're just going to tell you to like sit here and meditate and then like try not to think about anything. Like that actually doesn't work. So we have to slowly step down with many different modalities. It's why we're holistic. It's not just about food. It's not just about movement. It's not just about mindset. It's like you can look at the entire spectrum of what's happening in someone's life and work with them as a unique process and go, what are the lowest hanging fruit for that individual?
I got it. Yeah.
So, but Lise, please.
Yeah.
No, that's such a great point. It's very bio-individual, I would say. So for some people, I had one past client, reach out to us because we go through these cycles too. That's one of the things we teach is like, we think there's this like with body composition or any goal related to health. Oh, we get to this point and it's like a college degree and you just get it and then you're done and all your problems are solved and then you're like that forever. And it's like, actually, a lot of us are addicted to the cycle of achieving, always working on something, always trying to lose weight. And it's like, have you ever just existed in your body? Have you ever sustained and held what you have worked for, what you have, these habits that you've changed over time? Because a lot of us have seen a little bit of success. Maybe we tried something that worked. Can you hold it? We're not interested in anything that doesn't feel sustainable, because then you're just constantly chasing. You're in survival mode. And just like Shannon's saying, you're never resting. You're never moving through that. So for some people, like I had a client reach out to us and she's like, I went through 2020 and I gained a little weight back and I feel very ashamed of myself. I know better. I have the education. And I was like, this is actually so normal. This is part of the journey of being able to maintain and hold everything now. And she's like, what's one thing she's like, I just need something to focus on. Where should I start? And I was like, walk. I'm like, just walk. Just start with walking. I'm like, ramp up your walking and tell me how you feel. And then she messages me 2 weeks later. She's like, I lost 5 pounds. I feel great. Because I'm like, okay, walking is going to make her feel better in the moment. She doesn't need to be on a macro plan yet. I'm like, just get back to this and you're going to feel so good. Your endorphins are going to flow. Your blood sugar is going to get more balanced. So it really is bio-individual. But I would say in the grander scheme of like our actual programming, our main program, Awaken Your Nutrition, offers this doorway to a level of self-inquiry and awareness through food, because it's something, as Shannon so beautifully describes, something a lot of us do multiple times a day and have been doing for so long. And it's like, when you look at anything that you're doing over and over, it's a chance to kind of see, okay, what are the patterns and beliefs in that area that also show up elsewhere? And if we can just little by little sustainably look at things and just, change little by little instead of anything drastic, it has that opportunity to carry out in other areas of life. So first and foremost, though, I remember I'm not even talking about weeks. I'm talking about days. I texted Shannon after working with her immediately. And I was like, we need to sell this to mothers immediately. Immediately. I was like, just eating regular meals and increasing my protein. They were the smallest changes. And I was like, I'm a better parent. I am a better parent to my toddler who is screaming right now and having a tantrum. I can hold the emotional capacity and space for him like I couldn't 3 days ago. I was sold after that. I'm like, left my job. This is it. We need to get this out to the world because we're not taught. We're not taught this information. And then to be able to extend that education to my kids and see how food impacts your mental health and your ability to regulate emotions. This is like step one of self-care that is not taught. And so that's really part of our mission.
It's not taught. And a couple of things I want to touch on that both of you said, but it isn't taught and there isn't a real clear space to go for it. Right. And so you've got a really tired, exhausted mom who maybe has a few minutes to scroll or ask her best friend. But exactly what you said, Shannon, with your experience, the keto diet might work perfectly for some people. Intermittent fasting might work great for some people, but it's not, nutrition isn't a one size fits all. But there's that piece right there is missing. We're just told, hey, eat these 5 things or take this pill or do this and you'll be fine. And then you think, wait, it's not working for me. I still don't I don't have the energy to take care of my kid. I'm wishing the hours away till they go take a nap so I can just finally catch my breath.
Yeah.
But, so I love y'all's approach and I'm a client and I'm going through this right now. It's not overwhelming and it feels very doable. It feels very much fitting into my life, but it's giving me time to become educated on how I'm feeling. And you said that when you talked to your client about the walking, tell me how you feel. When's the last time someone said to a tired woman, ambitious mom, tell me how you feel? It's like, wait, how do I feel? Well, how's my happiest kid right now? That's how I feel. Right. And there's just such a big missed opportunity, because for me, I know now that as I'm choosing to take care of my kids, even by them seeing me do that, they're seeing, wow, mom is taking care of herself and she's not yelling as much as she did before. Yes. I like that. So, when you're talking about a simple shift or practice that a mom could say she's listening right now and start today to feel more grounded or energized, you said walking. What are some other things she could do in her busy as crap day? Maybe she doesn't have an hour to work out. Maybe she doesn't have time, but she definitely is wanting more. What are a few things that you feel like are available to her right now that she could add into today?
I want to answer that, and I want to share something about what you just said, because I think it's important that we actually address it. Our culture thinks that there's a pill or there's a 30-day thing or there's something that's going to be very fast that's going to solve our problem. But what I want to actually speak into that needs to be said is that there's actually not.
Yeah.
There's not in this area of health. Like, health is cyclical and health is compounding. And the health inside of our cells is a makeup of repetition. So the cellular turnover is through doing something consistently. And over the course of a year's time, about 99% of our cells actually regenerate. And so all of the information that we give our cells over the course of the year is basically creating the new makeup of our cellular expression. And we've been taught as a society that a pill or a quick fix or doing something for a short period of time, like dropping in ClassPass once a month and just trying something out, should give us a certain type of result. But I'm going to be the not so popular thing and say, I'm sorry, that's actually not accurate. But if we want to do something that's sustainable and that would actually make a big difference, having breakfast within your first hour is going to make a big difference. And likely for women, having breakfast, and it depends on how old you are, having breakfast that has protein, fiber coming from fibrous vegetables, natural sources of fat, and maybe a lower carbohydrate intake depending on your age. And this is bio-individual. Just that alone will help to set the stage for your blood sugar for the rest of the day. And most women, especially moms, are skipping that, or they are picking out their kids' breakfast and having coffee first, which absolutely destroys their blood sugar for the rest of the day. And the result of that, if you are in the cycle, what you will experience is that in the afternoon, you will be hangry. Yep. You will be more likely to not be super stoked about your kids crying if that happens.
Yep.
And you will be ravenous around 3 or 4. And then you'll
craving a box of Cheez-Its, maybe eating your kids' goldfish, right, out of their lunchbox.
Exactly. And it just perpetuates the cycle. So I wanted to speak into both of those things because unfortunately, the question itself about one thing, that's simple and quick, the question itself is part of the rewiring construct that we're looking to do with women. It's that it's not a fast thing. I'm sorry, we don't get to do it that way.
And I'm glad you're bringing it up because it's something that I'm seeing with my community. I'm 48. We're definitely in perimenopause. The metabolism has just plummeted. You're looking in the mirror and I curse, by the way, a lot. You're looking in the mirror and you're like, who the fuck is that? Who is that? I don't recognize her. And I had a meltdown about 6 months ago where my husband and I were going out to dinner. Nothing fit because I was bloated from head to toe. And I just was sobbing in the and my sweet husband came in. He's like, let's just go buy new clothes. But there was this part of me, I'm like, no, I don't want to throw in the towel. I don't want to just say I have to just be this way because I don't like the way I feel right now. But yet I have a lot of friends, and I will get villainized for this, who are taking all the shots. They're addicted to Botox and filler and Ozempic. Great. I mean, it's fine if that's been discussed with your doctor and this is what makes sense for your body. But what is missing is this education of, great, now that we have this tool, that's just up here. What about all the stuff that's going on below the surface? And by the way, you can't live off of this forever. You can't put Botox in your face forever. It's going to eventually stop working. So the lack of information about how do you prevent yourself from down the road having another meltdown in your closet because you didn't set up those, I guess, realistic, sustainable habits, but nobody is being truthful. You're looking on even the face cream. Hey, if you finish this jar, then you'll have no wrinkles. So you go out and buy the jar of face cream and you do it and you're like, wait, so I'm the problem because it didn't work for me. And then it comes back into that shame spiral, right? And it comes back into, she's back right where she started and she's feeling so discouraged. I don't know where we go from here, but it's just,
I was going to jump in and say, fascinating about just like the peptides conversation. Your nutrition and training is actually more important to dial in if you choose that route.
Yeah.
It's more important because
then if you are choosing the other, okay, interesting.
Because what can happen over time, and they're still very new, if you do not dial in your protein and your retention of muscle mass, you will down-regulate your metabolism, so you will burn less calories per day. You will lose muscle mass over time. You will actually gain body fat, even if your weight doesn't change. So even if your clothes fit better and you lose muscle mass and you gain body fat, which is totally possible, you could literally stay the same exact weight. You will reduce your metabolic rate and you will not be able to eat as much food. And then you're really looking at issues of longevity. And then you're looking at what are the diseases of low muscle mass as you age. Now you're getting into really scary territory because in perimenopause, you're losing muscle mass anyway, unless you have the habits in place to prevent that. So now you're looking at things like osteoporosis. You're looking at not recovering from a fall in your 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So, and this is like, that period of time is crucial. It's like a second puberty for women. It's almost like you need to dial that in. It becomes a non-negotiable and you need to dial that in with or without peptides. So there's actually even with that, which has been miraculous for so many people, there's still no way around not addressing the bigger issue here, which is like, it's less focus of weight loss. And we're really in the conversation of, do you have the nutrients and the metabolic tissue to carry you and all that you are doing as a modern woman to carry you through that time period and beyond? Right? It's such a different conversation. It's actually making sure that you are well resourced as a woman. And it's getting out of that it's getting out of that mindset of shrink, less. We're more like fuel, build.
Nourish.
That's to carry you.
And to your point, I know y'all, I mean, it's a big thing with the mindset. That's a meaning shift. That's a definition shift, right? That's a belief that is ingrained, growing up with, oh my gosh, it was the fat-free craze, right? If you just eat a bagel with fat-free turkey, how did you make fat-free turkey? I don't even know, but I ate that, right? And then the Olean chips and everybody's intestines were just falling out of their body, but didn't matter because, we weighed 102 pounds, right? And so then that kind of connected that became, the scale became the measurement for successful health, right? So if you stand on the scale and you've gained weight, oh, shit, you're falling apart. You must be terrible. You must be eating bad foods, right? So then you start labeling foods good and bad. So then, like you said, if you're starting the day with those thoughts, skipping breakfast, you're ironically putting yourself into the same position, right? So it's really a shift. Now, I mean, we only have 30 minutes, but when you're working with your clients, sometimes you just have to go backwards, right? To go forwards. Would you say like mindset is something that that's priority number one, I would assume, right?
Well, I wanted to speak into that because you're actually talking about like this very inherent cycle that I feel women have when you're talking like, oh, the face cream, like, but it didn't work for me. There must be something broken with me.
Yeah.
Right. So what we're seeing, and when part of this process, and part of the process why we have 12-week programs, is because if we are going to a 30-day experience, we don't get to go through the entire life cycle of behavior change. There was this old adage that behavior change was 21 days. I'm sorry, I've never seen that. Like, there's so many things that we were told and we believed for who knows why, because we were told by something outside of ourselves that that was true, but we never actually experienced it for ourselves. So one of the ways in which we go through supporting individuals through rewiring their programming is that they actually get to experience it in real time, and they get rooted into what's actually happening, how their body's feeling, what's happening with like their clothes, what's actually happening to their weight. So instead of thinking of weight as my association with self-worth, weight is actually my association with nourishment and understanding how water and sugar is shuttling into my muscle tissue. And when we're able to extrapolate those two, because it's such a systemic belief that weight equals, am I worthy? Like it's so deeply ingrained in us.
It's deeply. Yeah. It's deep.
And so it takes a while to remove the belief from the reality that weight does not equal worthiness. Weight actually equals bone, muscle, water. You know what I mean?
All those organs, brain, noggin,
your clothes. I don't know. You know, you're 5 pounds heavier. Do you have jeans on and a belt? That could be why. You know what I mean? So it's like part of this process as a culture and a society is removing the false belief from reality. And that takes time. And the more we do that, there's emotions that come up because those beliefs are not only ours, they're our culture's.
Yeah.
So we have to, like, it's like Velcro, and the Velcro wants to reattach. And so as coaches and as a community, we just get to continue going like, oh, that's reattaching real quick. That's okay. It happens.
Okay.
You know, like, let's just open it just a little bit more and go like, is that true right now? No, because you were sick and your body's retaining water. And of course you're going to weigh 5 pounds more because you haven't had a bowel movement in the last 4 days. And that happens. Your body's wise. You know, it's doing that for a reason.
Yeah.
So we get to move into creating a foundation of actually trusting our body, which as a culture, we haven't done that at all because we keep outsourcing to what's going to fix me from out there rather than what is my body telling me as, in my belief, the most absolutely intelligent computer on the planet.
I agree. And it goes back to what y'all were saying too. It's that measurement of, well, how do you feel? I think that's always been avoided, right? It's how do you feel? So maybe you did go up a couple of pounds, but I slept great. I am laughing more. I had more energy to do my workout. I lifted a heavier weight today. You know, it's all those things that we kind of separate from full body health, right? We think, oh, I stepped on the scale. I'm 5 pounds down. I'm healthy. And then there's this separation between, oh, I laughed with my kids today. That's not health. I took a nap today. Oh, that's not health, right? But it's really what you're saying. It's the entire existence.
Yes.
It's all connected, which is, this message is coming out more and more, but there's still that habit of wanting it to be super quick, especially when you see the polished idea from your neighbor, the woman, the mom in carpool line, and you think, gosh, if she did it, you know, what is she doing? No one's going to say, well, it's 7 years later in my journey, right? I'm still going. Even though that's the truth, you almost want to, it's like, good for you. What a badass. Thank goodness there's somebody out there versus, oh, I did this in 30 days. What did you do? You know, and it's kind of this like choice. It's the same thing that goes on. What we found with moms, it's, no, I'm more tired. No, I have more on my plate. My kids are busier. Well, now it's like, well, guess what? I'm getting a facial today. Why don't we brag about that? My kids slept through the night after 2 years. Why aren't we bragging about that? So it's kind of, I'm so thankful for y'all because we need some leaders to go forward and kind of set some new messages, right? It's like, well, we're actually bragging about taking care of ourselves, right?
And Swati, what you're pointing to is this other underlying belief that we see so much of and is, to be totally transparent, is one of the harder beliefs to rewire. It's that we think, most of us think that health should be hard. We think that having a healthy body composition, so the amount of muscle mass to fat mass and our level of fitness, we think it should be hard. So if it's not hard and it's not painful, we think, I must not be doing enough. And part of the problem, especially as women get to the perimenopause age, we cannot handle as much cortisol. We do not tolerate stress the same. Our estrogen is going all over the place. Our progesterone is plummeting. Our progesterone is our I call it the granny girl hormone that forces us to chill. We're not doing that, and we don't have enough of that. So actually doing too much backfires. And so when I first started working with Shannon, and I I wasn't ready to adopt the workouts that she had provided. And I was just like, they just didn't leave me dying and crying in a pool of sweat. I didn't think it was worth my time. I only have this much time. I'm going to do something that is absolutely going to obliterate me and leave me dying on the floor. And what did that do? That type of training ramped up muscles in areas I didn't even want. I developed huge quadriceps, didn't want that at all. And then my appetite went through the roof. And so it was this unlearning of, oh my goodness, I can do so much less than I was doing. And actually, it doesn't have to be hard or painful. Like, to be fully transparent for me, I struggled with binge eating my whole life since I was a child. And so every time I tried to, get a handle on my health and my weight, it was through extreme restriction and very painful. And I just don't have enough willpower. I must have an addiction problem to food. I thought I was addicted to sugar. And it come to find, actually, I had a problem with not nourishing myself and fueling myself properly. And it was actually it was from just starving myself for so much of the day to where my body just couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah. So the unteaching is that health and fitness does not have to be hard or painful. It really does not.
That's awesome.
He's like, good news.
Good news. That's all, and I love that. I'm noticing it, what I was doing even during COVID, how I was working out and showing up. I had all this time so I could work out for an hour and a half a day, and I felt great. And then 45 hit, and all of a sudden my body I was out of fuel. And I just didn't understand. And so I kept pushing, thinking I was weak, but I was just depleting myself and probably not letting the inflammation cycle go fully through, and it's, as much as I love telling my story to other moms, it's not really, they don't want to see all the behind the scenes all the time. Like, they don't want to see the hard choices all the time. They just want life to feel easier. They want the choice. They want it to be simple so that they can go on about their day and not worry about food and working out all the time. So this whole belief changing that whole no pain, no gain, can we just get rid of that whole thing and just, what about feeling good is the measurement for your health? And that goes back to what y'all are saying. Like, how do you feel, right? Did you enjoy that workout, or were you literally dreading it and wishing the minutes away? Because that's cortisol, right? That's stress.
Exactly.
But that's the belief system that I'm also dealing this with my clients too. It's the same belief. I can't invest in myself because that takes time and resources away from my kids, right? If I'm going to go have a session with a coach and invest several $1,000s in time and energy and choices and change the grocery list, how is that what does that make me as a mom? But to your point, Lisa, what you're saying now that you're actually able to pass down these healthy habits to our kids, how lucky. Gosh, don't you wish you could get into the school curriculum and be like, give me a semester? Like, all they teach them is the magic plate.
Well, but also, isn't it crazy? Like, this blows my mind. This is part of the systemic issue that we're dealing with just health in the US. Isn't it crazy that we have a belief that I shouldn't, as a mother, if I were a mother, I shouldn't spend money on me because that's taking away from my children. But what actually gives back to your kids more than teach them how to treat their body?
100%.
And how to care for their body. Like, isn't that the gift that will never, ever be too expensive for your kids?
Like, my priorities are now my health.
Yep.
My kids, my work.
Yep.
And some people think I'm selfish. I'm like, nope. My kids are counting on me. They don't care what I do. and they're not here, but they care how I am when they are around. And if I'm exhausted, starving myself, not sleeping, living off a pot of coffee, I'm not even there. They're not even getting the real me. They're getting a shell of my former self. And my daughter, this was several years ago, I was standing at the kitchen counter and she looked at me and said, ugh, I do not want to be a mom. You look miserable all the time.
Oh,
I was like, okay, all right,
Aw.
shift, turn. But as hard as the truth was, I was like, she's right.
Yeah.
She's right. And is that the blueprint that I want to give her? That I don't want to feel good, that I don't love my body, that I don't want information. And, going back to what y'all were saying about, we're going through puberty again. Maybe your body is having a different week. Maybe you ate sushi last night. Maybe you're traveling or working too hard. I think this beautiful awareness and acceptance that we're still growing, right? We're still going through stuff that we've never been through before. I think a lot of moms think they should have it all figured out. And we have to give ourselves this grace that we also I don't know everything. I haven't figured I've never been 48 before. How would I know what I'm supposed to be doing at 48 unless I go try some stuff? So I'm in your program right now. I'm in the 12-week program. I love it, by the way. It's so good. And I'm very, very new. And I'm in what y'all are calling this awareness phase, where I'm starting to track my food, but I don't really like saying track my food because I've had eating disorders my whole life. And there was this negative association. Tracking my food meant what was I putting in and out of my body that was good and bad, right? So now I'm working through that relationship of putting the food in there and being really honest, but it's kind of fun. I'm really motivated about becoming healthier and I know I want to feel better. But now I'm starting to, there's so much awareness around what are you actually using to feed your body, or I guess fuel your body every day. So if that's the beginning step, how do you support a mom or a woman who's coming through and it's triggering, right? It could be bringing up some, like you said, maybe that Velcro is like going right back. And I'm like, like, how do you talk to somebody? Help me. Help.
Is this coming up for you right now?
Maybe. My best friend over here. I'm asking for a friend. Okay. I'm asking for a friend.
Your friends. Okay. Well, so I think it's really a beautiful thing if we think about our old concept around like quote unquote tracking, because tracking to me says like there could be a good or a bad as you were using that word. But instead, if we can look at it with curiosity of what am I putting inside of my body that's becoming the cells of my body that actually dictates how I'm going to feel. Mm-hmm. And so if we can and really it's a trust fall in the beginning, right? And so instead of looking at food as good or bad, looking at it and going, okay, well, when we start to understand what carbohydrates do for us, when we start to understand what amino acids inside of our protein sources, how they actually work in the body, and how different sources of fat will have different benefits, and how different vegetables will have different benefits for different organs and like hair, skin, and nails. And when we start to understand a little bit more about this, it's not so much about, is this hitting a number? It's how is this nourishing me, and how do I want to use it for my particular goals right now? Mm-hmm. So, and we can do this with alcohol too. Like for moms that are drinking out there, like this is one of the things where I was really loving this because I was like, I want to make everything work for me. I want to work the system, whether that system was within my own body or it was like, whatever it might be. And so if we understand the purpose and function of something, then we can wield it to our choice. Right? Then it's no longer something that is happening because we're like, whoops, I didn't realize that was going to happen. You know what I mean? So for example, like a little thing to share with moms out there, if you enjoy your wine and if you want to buzz, and you guys probably already know this, but from a scientific perspective, if you want to buzz, you are going to get that buzz if you drink on an empty stomach. Right? We just know that. However, if you decide that maybe you don't want as much of a buzz and you actually want to absorb the nutrients that you are putting into your body, you are going to want to eat first. If you have food in your stomach, it's going to help to create an enzyme in your stomach that helps to break down alcohol. If we understand that, then we can go, okay, I'm going to go to this birthday party. I know they're going to have champagne. I know I want to have a glass. All right. So I'm going to make sure I have some food, but I know I'm driving later. So I'm going to have some food and then I'm going to wait 30 minutes. I'm going to have my glass of champagne. I'm going to enjoy it. And then I will more easily be able to metabolize the alcohol in my system. Right. So it just depends. Like when we know this, we don't have to vilify it. Then we just get to use it based on what we actually want to experience, not only in our body, but in our life.
I love it.
And it's like the intention is everything. Because Scotty, I had this thing, I had tracked at various times in my life when I was really struggling with disordered eating. And when I met Shannon, that was my first concern was, one, I don't want to develop, have that cup reemerge. And then two, my other huge concern, and we hear this a lot from moms, was like my kids. I don't want my kids seeing me weigh and track my food. And I built this whole story, which Shannon beautifully walked me through immediately. But I built this whole story of like, if my kids see me doing this, they're going to think that I'm, I have an eating, I made it into its own eating disorder. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I realized, it was my intention. So my intention before when I tracked was get as small as possible, restrict, eat under 1,200 calories. All my intentions were very diet culture focused, where Shannon helps me really quickly. I was like, wait, you're not judging me at all. I was like, she's going to see my food logs and just give me a scolding. And I was like shocked that she was so accepting and judgment free and was helping me develop this curiosity. And I was like, wait, I don't know what I was expecting, like an authoritative parent or something that was going to tell me how bad I was. And I don't know where it's like, then you start to unpack, where do these voices and assumptions come from? And they're working on you, whether consciously or unconsciously, all the time. So then I was like, oh, this is me. That's not, I'm like already building the story of what it's, what it's not. So with tracking, where I switched really quickly was, this is not about restriction. This is actually, what am I actually putting in my body? And is this working for me? And am I fueling enough? Yeah. And then I brought my kids into the conversation. I was like, mommy is in a nutrition program, you guys. Mommy is learning how the heck to eat for the first time in her life. Oh my gosh. Did you know this really small serving size of rice has 45 grams of carbohydrates? Because I didn't know. Yeah. And then I just started weaving them in. Anything I do, I always bring them into my experience. And that's just part of how I parent. I never tell them what to do. I include them in everything that I do. And so it's my husband. And so now they know more than anyone, most adults, about nutrition. And our teachers tell us, their teachers at school, they're like, do you have any protein in that snack? Like, where's your protein in your lunch? Like, they know so much now. So changing one dialogue, it was like, oh, I have the power if I change the story and the intention. It doesn't have to be about restriction and dieting. It actually is about nourishing and fueling, and I can include my kids in the process. And so thank you, Shannon, because that is what a gift. Because I will say also, not all coaches do that.
No.
You absolutely find a macro coach that's just like, hit these numbers. We don't do that.
Yeah. I think that applies to, not just even if you're wanting to track your nutrition, if you're wanting to work out, it's really finding that fit. It's so personal, right? It's really making sure that you feel safe in that space with that person, that you will admit the things that are going on, because so much of what we're talking about, a lot of it really comes back to it's being honest in communication, like communicating with yourself, communicating with your coach, communicating with your body and your family and your kids, right? I think that's going to help us remove the pressure of this being so shameful. And because it's when it's out, you're like, hey, it's not that bad. And they didn't judge me and they didn't tell me I was failing. I didn't miss the quiz, or except I did fail the quiz today. But you start to realize, wait, I'm stronger than all of that. And so much of it is like really becoming and really communicating with yourself. How do I feel today? How do I feel when I woke up today? What are the thoughts going on in my brain? When I said I woke up this morning, I had a glass of water and I was like, it's going to be a good day. versus, oh, I'm already behind, right? Like it's so much power, but being in a space where you feel safe and supported and held, that space that's being held for you to allow you to be human, allow you to be authentic, and allow you to learn in a way that feels really good to you. And that's why I love working with y'all, because it just feels really natural. I don't feel like my life has had to shift or change. I'm not even sure if my kids are even aware, right, yet. And I'll include them, but it's not like I had to become a different person. I had to live a different life. My kids had to change or leave the house. It's just it's like it's like a tiny little like fluid shift that's like coming through my day. It's like this thread that's kind of weaving through. And so for me, it feels like something that I can do long term, right? That fits into my busy life versus the other way around, which I think is so important for a mom who is so busy, who wants to feel better, and is kind of tried a bunch of things that didn't work before. It's really finding what fits into your life, right? So that it makes sense with your unique makeup, just like you're talking about, which goes back to the food anyway. Before I let y'all go, I want to hear, what is the one thing, I know you don't like the one thing because it all taps into everything.
You can try it. It's fine.
Okay. But so say you had 20 moms in front of you and you just had like just 1 second to say, like, girls, if I can just tell you one thing, or if you could go back in time and talk to yourself 10 years ago, what would you go and tap her on the shoulder and say? Just one thing.
I already know.
So you go first.
Okay.
And it can loop into other stuff.
I've been preaching this a lot. Stress, what we think about as stress, is not a feeling. It's a physiological state. So it's a physiological state in your body. And so when we hear this kind of archetype of the busy mom and she's so stressed and so for many women, we just accept it like this is just how it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. And so for so many women, they're not even aware of how stressed they are and how chronically stressed they are, and that there actually is a different way of being. There is a choice and a different way of being. It doesn't have to be like that. We can get addicted to that state of being. So regardless of how you feel, stress is the physiological state. And again, it's that same kind of unlearning and realizing that it doesn't have to be that way. And that can be uncomfortable. So for a lot of our moms and other women who have a hard time slowing down, and Shannon and I can relate because we've been in that go mode where you're just constantly going and then you never have to be in your body or address some things. So part of this slowing down and kind of unlearning and then relearning a different way of nourishing, like a whole different mindset. It's not always comfortable, and it's the best thing. It's the greatest gift you could ever give yourself.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Shannon.
I would also say that's like a 10-year cycle. For me, when I think about that, for me, like that cycle, I'm like, that was a 10-year cycle. I was like in go mode for a solid 9.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I just stopped doing because I don't want to feel something, that my doing was my mechanism for not wanting to feel underneath. You know what I mean? So when I think about that, I'm like, whew, that's a long inflammatory cycle, that one. I know. I think my 10 years ago, which is essentially when I realized all of this, my biggest aha moment was about fat intake from my body, because I loved to make stir fries, and my stir fries would have like lots of avocado, or like it would have avocado on top. It would have cheese on top. It would have olive oil, nuts. Like there was just so much. And then in terms of salads, I would just have so much healthy fat because my brain was like, this is healthy. And at that time, especially, carbohydrates were very vilified at that period of time. And then I was put on this ketogenic diet, and I just thought that it was normal to be carrying like an additional 20 pounds on my body of fat. And it was also normal to feel lethargic. When I was waking up in the morning, I didn't realize that like I didn't really have a lot of energy to do what I wanted to do. And I was training clients 8 hours a day. And I just thought all of this shit was normal.
Yeah.
And not until I realized that my body just required for what I was asking of it in the amount of workouts I was doing and the type of schedule I had, that my body was actually asking for less fat and more carbohydrates. Like, until I realized that, I was just operating with this old belief that said, like, well, healthy fat is healthy fat, right? It doesn't like go to fat on my body, right? I just didn't get it at all. And when I finally understood that my personal body required a different amount of carbohydrates, fat, and protein throughout the day and at every meal, my body dropped about 15 pounds of fat within like a month and a half. Like, it was so fast when I was giving my body what it needed. And it wasn't about calorie restriction. It was about balance.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but again, like, if I had told myself that 10 years or even 20 years ago, right, I would not be in this position. I wouldn't,
Right.
Indoor life wouldn't exist. But yeah, that was my huge door opener. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
We've been told some bullshit, you guys.
Totally.
Like some hardcore bullshit about fat and carbohydrates and all of this, like Slim Fast and Weight Watchers. And like, it's just, there's so much that just like messed us up.
They just rotate what is the vilified thing. And that's why everyone has a problem.
Yeah.
It's like everyone gets demonized. It's been carbs, sugar, fat, not even protein. Don't overeat protein.
Yeah.
You're going to your kidneys up. Meat, plants. It's like
water.
Yeah.
I heard water. Water. Sun that gives us life. I'm like, it's just, yeah. Slims fast.
Thing that like we find anything to eat at all because there's something out there. There's some guru, especially with social media explosion now, some guru saying kale's going to kill you. And then you have, never eat red meat. It's carcinogenic. And so people are like, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
So they fall back on their old habits, right? Like, you get overwhelmed. And so what do? You cope with the anxiety and the overwhelm by your old natural habits and beliefs, which makes perfect sense. And then you find yourself right back where you were again. I love what y'all are saying too. It's the best GPS system that we have is our own bodies. Right? It's like really listening to what you're asking your body to do on a daily basis, right? You got big goals? Great. Let's go for them. But let's make sure that we're actually setting ourselves up to achieve those, right? Like, if you want to run the marathon or work out 4 days a week or walk, 10,000 steps a day. Is that even a real number? It's like, what are these goals? What are you asking? Doesn't mean you can't do it, but are you actually giving your body what it's asking for? And I think there's that real beautiful opportunity. And I'm learning how to do this right now, quieting my ego, quieting those old beliefs, and just starting to communicate with, how does this feel? How does this feel? How does my, from head to toe, what does it need? How is it feeling? And that's a beautiful education, but it's not overnight. It's going to take some time, but then you have it forever.
Yes.
You have that information forever.
Yeah. And the journey is really beautiful.
It is.
If we get to, like, even as you're saying that, just learning to almost like bump up against new things and go, what does this feel like? Do I like this? Do I not like this? Thinking of it as like a journey of self-discovery at every phase and every season of life that we're in. Like, we continually get to do that over and over again. And I think it's really lovely when we're given permission to enjoy that exploration. Instead of being like, I'm going to do this because I'm attached to the specific outcome. Yeah. Rather going, how do I actually want to feel? I get to discover it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are amazing. How can everybody find you? If they want to. I will have it all in the show notes, but how can they find you if they want to not read the show notes?
They are our probably most popular place for, millennials and elder millennials, which is, who's most drawn to us right now, is Instagram. You can find us at the Green Door Life, thegreendoor.life, thegreendoor.life. on Instagram. And then our website is thegreendoorlife.com. We also have, we're all over on social media. Our YouTube channel is The Green Door Life. And if you go to our website, you can also find, get on our email list. But I would say Instagram is the best place.
And your 12-week program, that's always enrolling, right? Like if somebody's listening and they want to have a conversation with you, they can have that discovery call and then you will think about what's best for them. But that's always available. It's evergreen, correct? So, okay, awesome. Because it's great. It's, and I think sometimes everybody just needs to hear something at that moment and it'll activate somebody. And I just think what y'all are doing is amazing. So thank you so much. Before we go, is there anything else that you want to share with my mom community? They're going to love everything. They're going to be absorbing this. Love it, love it, love it. How do you, I guess before we go, what is one, oh gosh, y'all hate the one. What is an activity that y'all like to do during the day that can help you kind of de-stress?
So many. For me, after turning 40, walking.
Yeah.
If you're not a walker and you are over 40, let me save you lots of pain and struggle there. Like, become a walker. I
love it.
And I know Shannon too. Like, even it's like I look at my entire day, honestly, and I'm like, can I do this while walking?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And also, it's been a beautiful bonding moment for our family because I've got everybody on board now. I'm like, it's like all day. I'm like, do you want to go on a walk? Do you want to go on a walk?
I love it. I love it. It's meditative too. It's so healing. If you don't like to meditate, go for a walk. I love it. What about you, Shannon? How do you like to de-stress?
It brings your, just another tip, it brings your cortisol down. It's one of the few types of movement that reduces cortisol, literally reduces cortisol and helps balance your blood sugar.
I love that. Both of my sons play baseball and they have to be at the baseball games an hour before the game. So I just throw on my AirPods and I walk around the neighborhood and listen to a murder podcast. It's how I give myself a mental vacation and I de-stress.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I love that.
It can't always be self-help, It can't always be self-help.
Awesome.
What about you, Shannon? Then I'll let y'all go. I know it's been an hour of your time. Thank you so much.
No, this has been so good. It's so fun. I definitely on the walking train. I think that's been something I've just done always. Music. I use music to put me in different moods, like from first thing in the morning and also to transition from phases. So, I will just naturally listen to what my senses want from music. Like this morning, it was Led Zeppelin.
I love it.
It was like, we're fucking going.
I love it.
Let's do this.
I love it.
Yeah. So I love to use music as like a transitionary tool for my nervous system and to de-stress. But I also have this little dragon game that I play on my phone that is a very nice de-stressor.
The mental vacation. It's so good.
Yeah.
Y'all are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Truly, I really appreciate your time, your wisdom, and all the hard work that y'all have done so that you can make it a lot easier on us. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This was lovely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, buddy.